Hi, welcome to Live with Ray and Terry. My name is Terry Coker. I'm here with Ray Fanning, and we certainly appreciate the fact that you're joining us today for Live with Ray and Terry. Say hello, Ray. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Terry, and hello, everyone. Thank you. We had a couple technical issues. We've worked them out. So glad everybody is here. I'll keep, if you have any questions, you can just pop them over to us on here. I'll see them. And I am looking forward to our franchise feedback live. We got a lot to talk about today. It's some good stuff.
We do, and if you would put in the chat stream where you're from, we always appreciate knowing where people that we're interacting with live and work and play. So Ray and I are franchise consultants. Franchise consulting is a little known profession, but we really enjoy what we do. So we like to meet people that we're working with and introduce ourselves and explain that we are both small business owners. We both own professional consulting practices, and we help people identify and investigate and start businesses within the franchise realm. Ray, how long have you been a franchise consultant?
I have been a franchise consultant for over 25 years.
Wow, that's a long time, which means you've talked to thousands of people about starting a franchise.
Tens of thousands, Terry. Lots of people. Yep.
And myself also. I started in the summer of 2009. So do the math. It's been quite a long time, and it's been quite rewarding. So we appreciate that people are here.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk today about from business loss to business boss. So we're talking to a lot of people today who have been laid off. We see the headlines every single day. Meta, Google, not all tech companies, but there are a lot of people out there in corporate America who are getting the notice along with 9, 11, 12,000 of their coworkers that mass layoffs are happening. So that's our topic for today. This has been our theme for several Live with Ray and Terry's, and we really want to stay on that because we're just seeing so many people that are looking now to business ownership as a career alternative. What are you seeing in the marketplace, right?
Same thing, Terry. And the good thing about this is that I mean, it's not that it's good that people are facing layoffs. That's never a lot of fun for them. Well, the first time, remember, Terry, we've had this group discussion before where the first time people get laid off, sometimes it's like a sabbatical, and it can be, especially if you get a decent package, it can be nice. It's the second time and the third time, or when you start seeing your wages get compressed and new people coming in making more than you, that it gets a little bit on your nerves.
We got
but the good thing about it is,
yeah, we got a tremendous amount of mail on wage compression, people reaching out and saying, oh my goodness, the girl that they just hired came in at a higher wage and I've been here 8 years. I mean, our mailbag filled up with people identifying with wage compression.
It really does, and it's very frustrating when that happens. But I got a note after our last talk about it from one of the people I placed in businesses through the years, and they had said, hey, that was really valuable. And I was like, well, I know they own businesses. And I was like, well, how was it valuable? He goes, well, a lot of these people are looking at the types of businesses that I'm looking for, because they're looking for, I'm keeping my job, or in his sense, I'm keeping my business, and I'm always looking to build additional income streams. I'm looking to diversify, right? So he said it's very applicable to us as well. And that's part of to toot our own horn, that's part of the advantage of being in the learning community here at Hire Your Best Boss. Not only can you share, but you can actually learn from other people, even in different situations than yours is. Because there's a lot that's actually applicable. So I think that's great. And when he said that to me, and a few people did after a while, but when he said that to me, I thought that really makes sense, because some people who have just lost their jobs, they're still looking for jobs, but they never want to be caught with, pardon my language, with their pants down again, right? They just
Yeah,
don't.
especially if
So
you're in that third wave of layoffs. This is the third time it's happened to you. You know, you can see that there's a trend, right? Today, what I'm hearing is that most jobs don't last 10 or 12 years, right? If you're forced into moving and changing employers, you're probably in the 2 to 3 year range, maybe 4, okay, but certainly not 12 or 15 anymore. That doesn't seem to be out there.
it's
And so
unusual. Yeah.
it's unusual. So we always encourage people to look forward, estimate what you think your age will be at retirement, subtract that from your current age, and divide by 3. That number is just an estimate of how many jobs you will have the rest of your career if this trend keeps up. And Ray, that number usually really gets people's attention.
It really does get their attention. If you start looking and say, I'm going to go through 7 of these, you know, over the next 10 or 15 years, I'm going to deal with 7 of these, and the emotional.
I'm going to
Because
have to roll my 401k over to a new custodian and a new HR department 7 more times before retirement.
yeah, as opposed to being in control of it, which is what really this comes down to,
It
is
really,
people want to have control. And once they get control, you know, once you have one income stream or one business, you want to diversify, you want to grow it. You normally, until you get to your place of success, right? You really do. So that's that's all we're doing. So I was really glad to hear that people want to hear about these, you know, the solution for them going through, a potential solution for people going through the job losses, or seeing you know, looking left and looking right and seeing people go, or, hey, I'm doing such a good job, they're going to hire 2 27-year-olds and let me go because I'm making too much. But the answer to their questions, their situation, a lot of times is also an answer to somebody who owns businesses and is growing their portfolio of businesses. So it was just a kind of a fun aha moment we had after our last call. So
exactly. And if you're on with us today, again, thank you. We assume that you're probably going to have some questions. So if you have specific questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat box. And our first resource today is a URL for you on a site that we've created. Ray and I started doing video answers to questions quite a while ago now. We'll take one person's question about franchising and answer that. And when Ray ran the idea by me, I said, man, I love that idea, but I have one caveat. We have to stick to, you know, the 3 to 4 minute range on our answers, because that's my bandwidth for watching a video these days. And Ray said, yeah, totally agree. So here's the resource. The URL is www.hireyourbestboss.com. 4 words, hireyourbestboss.com. And when you get there, what you're going to find are Ray and I doing videos, and we're taking individual questions and answering them that we've had over the years. We're using our knowledge from Ray's 25 years experience, and do the math on me. Okay, it's a little less than Ray, but I've still talked to thousands and tens of thousands of people. So we're putting that knowledge out there for you. It's our learning community. Feel free to go there. You can also see how a franchise investigation breaks down into 4 different steps. We call that the roadmap. So if you are wondering what it is like to work with us, what do we do? Go through the roadmap and we'll show you what the steps to a good investigation are.
Excellent, Terry. I did put into the chat for everybody the hireyourbestboss.com. Just a reminder, if you just want to click on, you can just copy it and put it in your browser. Also, thanks for people letting us know. California represented, Washington represented, Georgia, Texas, we've got Maryland, we've got the Carolinas, Florida, and I think we have someone from Canada. So there we are.
Wow,
That's who we have
coast to
so far.
coast. And so that
Yep.
answers another question. Where do we work? We work from the right coast on the Atlantic to the left coast on the Pacific. Will we work Alaska and Hawaii? Maybe. Depends on how early or late I have a gentleman in Hawaii right now. He lives in California, but he's been vacationing there with his father and visiting and helping take care of his father. And so I've had a couple conversations there. But we are not international franchise consultants. We're domestic US based consultants. So if you're in the US and you want to talk franchising, we would love to meet you. Go down below and message us that you'd like to have a question and answer call. That's what we call them. Because when we get on with you, we ask, what questions are you bringing to the call about franchising so we can answer them for you? We try not to get off the phone call until we've answered all of your questions, and then we describe what we do.
Well, I think that's I think it can really help some folks, and I really appreciate all these people on there, especially those who have gone through a couple of the two different screens we have going now, bringing people in. So I think everybody's on there. If you see me looking away, it's because I'm making sure both sides are working. But it is a lot of fun to see the different names of people from across the country and across the world. You know, whether they're in Hawaii, I'm working with somebody from who's in India who's going to be opening a business in Houston, and that's always that's a challenge. But mostly we're good old US of A, aren't we, Tara?
We are. We really we were both born here, and we love the fact that the U.S. is an entrepreneurial country. People come here from all around the world so they can be business owners. And so today, what we're going to talk about, the topic that we've selected, is another one that's very sensitive to people that have been laid off. It's called upskilling. And a subset or a companion to upskilling is reskilling. So what's upskilling, Ray?
And first of all, thank you very much. That genesis of that question, Jenny from Miami.
Hey, thank you, Jenny.
So thank you, appreciate it.
Did that come from our mailbag?
It did.
We have a mythical mailbag today. It looks very much like an email inbox, but we started calling it our mailbag quite a while ago. And so we get questions all the time. And we use those questions because they're real questions from you. So if you have a question that we don't get to today, or you just don't want to, you don't have the bandwidth to do a Q&A call, just email us the question. It could very easily appear in a video and be uploaded to our YouTube site and our Hire Your Best Boss.
And we will call you, and we will call you out.
And we will call you out, and thank you for that. And upskilling is, you know, really a hot topic these days. Upskilling is just getting better at what you do on a professional basis, right?
Taking your tools and sharpening them, making them better for what you're doing. So and the big thing people do with upskilling, years back, you used to upskill, you know, whatever you were doing. If you were a computer programmer, you'd be taking classes, you'd get better at doing that. If you were a sales professional, you would be listening to the old Zig Ziglar tapes, the Brian Tracy. You'd be learning, and you'd be getting better at what you do. It's not just through practice. It's through practice with a purpose. You know,
what's a good topic for upskilling today, Ray?
That's a great question. Couple good topics. You and I were discussing this recently, because we were talking about how you used to Google and how Google became a verb. Not used to, you still Google, and Google became a verb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm gonna let's get this Google. I tell people part of our process is Googling some things. Let's learn about everything we can. Today, that one thing that we see, and we've discussed this quite a bit, Terry, is AI. AI is coming into many different aspects of our world, everyone's world, all of us, our world. And it's through all the different industries. You know, it's not just a franchise industry, it's all different industries. And I think, as I told you earlier, I think AI is going to become a verb too. Like, let's AI it. You know, let's AI the marketing. Let's AI our sales strategy. Let's AI the way we do our emails and the way we write our books and how to. I mean, it's a very interesting aspect. Is it going to? I mean, I don't know where it's going to go. Like, is it going to replace you? Not replace you? I think of it as a tool, and a very valuable tool. And I'm taking some classes so I can learn more about it online. I just to learn and understand it. So I
I am
think
too.
I
Yeah.
look out, I see AI as that big thing that we need to be aware of.
So let's transition and make this relevant now to franchising and talk about reskilling. So when I'm working with people, I will suggest categories of businesses and specific businesses after we have a written strategy on paper and both the person I'm working for and myself know what we're looking for. How do they want to live, work, and play is a question that we ask all the time. And when I come back and suggest businesses, people will say to me, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, they don't know anything about it, but it's one of the things we get to do with people through our process. The upskilling and the reskilling. One of the great ways we find out about it, and it's one of the benefits we give to people who we've worked with, is that business builder profile tool that we utilize, because it helps us identify the different what your skills are, the upskilling, and what you can work on. A lot of people don't realize they have other skills. They have uh, they have the ability, they just haven't done it yet, right?
Latent
And
skills.
yeah, yes, and those skills, we find them all the time. I mean, if you've ever worked with somebody who's an accountant who says, "Hey, listen, I'm not a bean counter. I have some personal skills," and you're like, "Okay, well, there you go." That's the kind of thing. And often when we see that I think, very valuable business builder profile tool that we use, people spend 10, 15 minutes. They spend 10, 15 minutes going through that. They get 7, 8, 9, 10 pages of results. It also helps us help them look at those tools, those aptitudes, those skills you have, you just haven't used yet, right? That's
I
what I
think
look at
that,
it as.
yeah, I agree. And I think that franchising may be the ultimate example of reskilling because people will ask me quite a bit, what does the franchise company do for me? And so this is what we learn about during an investigation. And once we've got your strategy down on paper, once we know what we're looking for, once we've identified companies that match your strategy, then it's time for Ray and I to guide you through a professional franchise investigation. To be clear, it is a done with you, not a done for you service. You conduct your own calls with the companies, you conduct your own calls with the franchise owners. You put your own projections together, but we will guide you step by step by step, which stones to turn over, which ones not to miss turning over, and how to go through that. And so a question we get is, what does the franchise company do? Well, they're going to bring the brand to the table. They're going to have the legal done. They're going to have an operating business, and they're going to show you their customer acquisition systems. They're going to show you the training that they will take you through so that you can reskill. They're going to show you the support that they have. This is all things that you receive when you become a franchisee in a franchisor's system. I think it's just the ultimate example of reskilling. What do you think, Ray?
I, I totally agree. It's also great when you're evaluating it, because you get to look at it and say, okay, is this worth the value? Are they making
Mhm.
if I join this system? And you have to do an informed decision, right? You really do need to go through the process. I think our process is the best, but a process, and go through the process and learn so you can make the informed decision. So you look at a business and say, are they making the pie bigger for what I'm paying? Are they making it more likely that I'm going to have a pie at all? Are they lowering the risk, and does it value? I saw a franchise company, one of the companies we work with, Terry. It's a very interesting company that's kind of in food, but in a very different way. And the president of the company just
Mhm.
recently, just recently, had put on a post, and he said, I get a little tired of hearing prospects asking me about the tax as like it's a royalty tax. And he goes, not a tax.
I
He
saw
goes,
that post.
yeah, did you see it? He goes,
Yeah.
not a tax. We spent millions to build a system to implement a system so you can take the system, so it makes your pie bigger, so that it lowers the risk to you. Now your job as a prospect or someone who's a business owner who's going to own 1, 2, 3, however many, is to look at it and say, have they done it? Like, I get to evaluate it. And then I get to talk to franchisees and say, did they do what they say they do? Can you take their system and make it your own? But it's not just the system, is it, Terry?
No, not just the system. It's the entire ecosystem that this entrepreneur and his team bring to franchising. And you and I brainstormed a bit about, what are the major skill sets or reskilling areas that people need when they start to explore and then become a franchisee. And we came up with 4 that compromise easily the 80-20 rule, 80%. The first one being marketing.
Marketing.
Right? Now, if you don't have any marketing skill sets, should you turn and run away from an opportunity? Maybe yes, maybe no. But the franchisor is going to introduce you to their customer acquisition systems. They have figured out how to get customers into their business. And if you've never done that in a startup, my goodness, that's the nervy part, right? Because you have what's called a burn rate. And if you've started an independent business and you don't know how to get customers, you're going to spend your life and your money trying to figure out how to do that against the capital that you have. This should have been accomplished in a franchise. They should come on and say, here's the way we get customers. And that breaks down generally into 2 really generalized categories, but outbound selling to a defined target or inbound marketing using advertising and media systems.
100%, Terry. When I talk to my people about this, it's hunting or it's farming, right? You're
Hunting
going
and
out
farming.
there, you or someone you hire goes out there and gets the customers. That's one way, right? That's the outbound. Or you're farming. You put the systems, you put the marketing process in place, and you put it out there so it comes back to you. So it's hunting versus farming, and it's incredibly important. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily be the hunter or the farmer either. It depends on the system, and it depends on your role as the owner. You might hire hunters, you might hire farmers. Sometimes the franchisor implements part of it for you. It depends on the system.
Many of our franchise companies today that we talk to have national call centers. So you're running the social media campaigns, and those inquiries are going to a national call center, and then the appointments appear on your calendar. People like that model an awful lot. So are you running around answering the phone all day? Maybe in some models, maybe in others, they're being placed on your calendar for you.
Or maybe you have a manager who is unlocking the door, and the customers are coming to you, and the manager has to be membership driven.
But write this down in your notes. You are the chief revenue officer of your franchise, right? You are the person responsible for growing that business using the franchisor systems, right?
Right. And by the way, that's nothing new, just so you know it. Even if you're not a business owner, you're your own chief revenue. You and your spouse, you're your own chief revenue officers, most likely. So it's just a matter of control and who's doing it. But if you own a business, don't think you're outsourcing that. You're always watching the numbers. You're always watching what's going on. You should be. And to learn what's out there. I mean, knowledge is great. Then you have to implement it, and there's bumps along the road. Everybody I know you've ever worked with, I've ever worked with, there's always an unexpected bump along the road. So you have to be ready for bumps and, improvise, adapt, overcome, work with your partners, your franchise, your other franchise brothers and sisters. It gives you the opportunity, again, just like you're part of the Hire Your Best Boss learning community. If you join a franchise, you should be part of their learning community. You should plug in. Be the best franchisee you can be, because not only is it a good thing to do, it also helps you.
What's the second area of skills that we believe someone needs?
Metrics. Terry. The numbers. Know the numbers.
What are the numbers?
What are the numbers? And that runs the gamut. You know, people always think I know the numbers. Tell me the top line. What's the revenue? But numbers for a business, you know, yes, the top line's important, but the bottom line's important. And what's the in between? And what does it matter? And what's your conversion rate? If you're running a membership driven business, how many people are coming through the door? How many are you converting? How many from source A are you converting? How many from source B? By the way, let's go back to the skilling, the upskilling and reskilling. Maybe you have a manager who's not converting great. Let's work with the manager to increase their skill. You know, a 5% difference, 25% closing rate on a membership driven business can make a huge difference to your business.
And these are trainings that the franchise company will do with you and with your employees. You can expect to receive that. And so when you meet a franchise company and they start to educate you, they'll do it through modules. They'll do it through phone calls, webinars, and you'll learn during that period what the metrics are. So this is commonly called a unit economics call. So you meet a franchisor and you get to know them, they get to know you on the first call, then they will give you a discovery schedule. And they will say, our second call is the numbers. That's called unit economics. Our third call is about the legal documents, the franchise disclosure documents. Our fourth call is on all of our training systems. Our fifth call is launch, early support, and long-term support you can expect to receive to us. And each franchise company gets to disseminate this information differently, but almost all of them have in the past and have today unit economics call. And you can put this in your notes too. There are 4 or 5 key metrics for every small business. If you're in corporate, you may have a corporate spreadsheet with 27 metrics, you know, that you need to watch. Small business is simpler than that. There are 4 or 5 metrics that drive every business. And when you're on the unit economics call, you'll learn about those, right? These are the numbers. And then when you get to the investigation point of talking to the franchise owners, the franchisees, we call them Z's, okay? You can validate those numbers. You can say, hey, tell me about your metrics.
Tell me about the numbers. One other thing, once you get the numbers and once you start to learn the metrics from the franchisor, that's where you start, right? Averages are averages. I haven't met an average person yet, Terry, and you really have to figure out what it's going to be for you, right? That's what you need to do. And you need to make sure, by the way, you're going to verify that even the metrics you get were correct, because our process is going to teach you to go and talk to franchisees and ask them what they consider the key metrics. Some people have different key metrics. Some people, it's all about conversion rate. Some people, it's about how many people do I have coming to, you know, to increase demand. Some people, believe it or not, even successful franchisees may not have a real great grasp on their numbers.
That's true.
I mean, it's not necessarily great, but let me tell you, there's a lot of really good businesses out there that they know they're doing okay because they got a lot of money to, you know, they're taking their money home in buckets. And if they can take home money in the buckets, they're not paying a whole lot of attention to it. Is that a best practice, Terry? No, it is not.
No, it is not. It's not a best practice. But if you and your team are spending your days with your customers, that's a best practice. You can count it up later.
Yeah, you know, exactly. That's a good problem to have. That's a good challenge to have, is like, hey, I'm making buckets of money and I'm not paying attention to how I'm doing it. That can be, I mean, there's worse things in life. So
here's a key skill. Here's a key skill that could be in that latent group that you talked about earlier, leadership. Right? Yeah. You are going to be the leader of your small business. When you become a franchisee, you are automatically the leader. Now, you may not be the leader of the current team that you're on, right? You may have been a leader in high school. You may have been a leader in college. You may have been a leader at different points in your career. Just because you're not a leader today doesn't mean that you don't have leadership skills and leadership in your background. So we often find that as a latent skill set. Will the franchise companies, Ray, help people with their leadership reskilling.
The really good ones do. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, and if they don't, and it's still the right fit for you, then you need to go find it outside of there. You're
Yeah.
your chief revenue officer. You own your, you know, you're the small business owner. I haven't met a perfect franchise yet, Terry. Haven't met one. See, there's a couple of really gold standard ones. Haven't met the perfect one yet. But let's be honest, I haven't met the perfect business owner yet or perfect franchisee. And I'm, as much as I try, I'm not the perfect franchise coach.
Yeah, we don't use that word in our investigations with people because perfect doesn't exist.
No.
It's our belief, right? I'm working with a husband and wife team, and they told me that they've been looking for the perfect idea to start a business since high school. And they just didn't recently graduate high school. They've been in the workforce for a long time. All right. They're not ready to retire yet, but they've both had long and prosperous careers. And I said, okay, the first thing that we have to do is dispel the idea that there is a perfect business out there. It doesn't exist. A perfect business is one that fits what you're trying to accomplish. And that's what our strategy is built around.
Yep.
And what's
We're
the
going to help you. Tara, one of the things we want to make sure we help people do is help them figure out where they are today, figure out where they want to go, where they want their life, because it's not just business, it's life, it's everything. How to that where I want to be, and then we help them identify options that can be the vehicle that gets them from here to there, and then we just get to coach them. We get to coach you through the process where you get to learn about these things. That's it. It's, I mean, it seems simple, but it's the, you know, like many things in life, it's the execution. It seems simple to be able to hit a baseball, but you know, when it's coming at 90 miles an hour, you know, the execution, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know why. So that's what we get to do. And that's what most of the people coming to us are looking for, whether they're, I just got laid off and it's brand new to them, or the people looking for the perfect business, that couple, or it's a very established owner that owns multiple systems with multiple franchises. We get to help each one because where are you? Where do you want to go? Let's identify the vehicles that are going to help you get there. Make sense, Terry?
Makes perfect sense. And that leads us right smack to our fourth skill, which is mindset. You've got to have the right mindset, excuse me. And the franchisors, once again, will help you determine what the right mindset is. You've got the opportunity to make your mind up every single morning as to what your mindset's going to be. But Ray, there's a hidden layer of possibility in franchising that helps with this mindset component as much as anything else. It's the existing franchisees. I mentioned the Z's earlier. So
yes.
if you're working now, or if you're recently laid off, you've had coworkers, right? Coworkers compete against each other all the time. It's the nature of the environment. They compete for budget. They compete for the boss's attention and time. They compete for human resources. They compete. And you might have a great relationship, you know, with previous coworkers, maybe in your last job or 3 or 4 jobs ago, but it's just the competitive nature of that environment that you have to compete for resources. You don't in a franchisee system. There are people in Kansas City, there are people in Portland, there are people in Minneapolis who are franchise owners, and they're doing the same thing that you're doing. They're growing their businesses in their local communities, but they don't have the same competitive nature. That drops away. And so these people will freely share with you their mindset on any topic about the franchise. And so you bring your own mindset, but you also have a mastermind group across the country of existing Z's that will share their mindset.
Let me share an insider secret, Terry, for everybody here. And if you're ever in a franchise system, there are many different mindsets in a system, just like there's the top 10%, there's the top quartile, there's the average, there's the below average. So here's an insider secret. find out what the top performers, see if you can see the trend on their performance. Look at that top 20% and see if you can really identify, not just how they do it, which is very important. That's another conversation. What's their mindset? Because I think if you see the mindset, you see what they're thinking, you're gonna eventually learn how to use that to implement the system. Because let me tell you, if they're successful with the system, with that mindset, that's what you want. You want to be like them. And if you're evaluating the business and your mindset, if you're more like, your mindset's just like the guy who's kind of bringing up the rear, probably not the right system.
That's right. And if you're on this call today with us, you're sharp, you have ambition, you're thinking about how can I generate income? How can I replace income? You've heard what I'm about to say. Success leaves clues. And so we will teach you who to talk to and how to talk to. You do your own calls, but the first thing we want to do is, in any given franchise system that we investigate, what does success look like? That's the top 20% of anybody's system. That's what we want to know, but we don't stop there. We teach you that in that middle zone, that middle 60%, people are living their lives. They're very comfortable. They like their lives. They like their business. They may not be in the top 25%, but they still love what they have. Yeah. So what does comfort look like? And then, as Ray just alluded to, at the bottom of every franchise company's system are the bottom 20%. And by almost everyone's definition, that is failure. Okay. So we teach you how to identify what failure looks like. Do people in franchising fail, Ray?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, people fail. And that sometimes surprises the people that we're talking to. But we have these honest conversations where you have to understand how you could fail with this business. If you identify it in an investigation, you can avoid it, but you can't avoid it if you don't identify it. So we teach you identify success, identify comfort, identify failure.
You identify it all. And when you see what it looks like, just like success leaves clues, so does failure. Now, when you choose a system, I certainly hope that you are making sure that they have a low failure ratio. Right.
Yep.
I don't know I don't think I know of a perfect system that's never had failure. I mean, people transfer out for lots of reasons, so you don't want to say that's necessarily failure. I mean, quite honestly, your exit strategy is an important aspect to know. So every exit is not a failure. Matter of fact, most exits, I'd say, Terry, are at least with good systems that we tend to work with, are good. It's a good thing. It's a part of the exit strategy, but you want to make sure you understand. And like everything else, go into it. If you understand and you go into it with your eyes open, you can make a much better decision, and you can make better decisions as you go and grow and join a system. And if you ever find yourself in a system and you're not doing as well as you thought, it's really easy to always take a look at, what are they doing wrong? Take a look at yourself too and see how you're doing, how you're acting as a business owner. Because it reminds me of something Sam Walton used to say. It's easy to pick about somebody else, what's wrong, but I'd rather know 1% something I can do about myself and about how I do things, as opposed to that, and it'll have a much more drastic change.
Well, and you're in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. So if that day comes, pick up the phone and call the franchisor and say, and let's have a heart-to-heart here. What do you think I could be doing better? Do you think I'm doing something wrong? You have someone there who wants to answer that question for you, because if you don't make money, the franchise company doesn't make money. It's a royalty-driven system. And so they want you to succeed. How would you love to be in a business where they want you to succeed? They support your success. They train you to succeed. You can tell we're evangelists.
You want everybody rowing in Terry, you've said before, it's really true. You want people rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
So pay attention. The vast majority of franchises, it is based on your success. But is there ever a chance? Is there any franchise systems out there that are just selling and selling and selling. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And you try your best to avoid them. That's why it's good to have a system. That's why you go and you learn, and then you go and you validate, right? You trust, you verify, learn, trust, verify, learn, verify, verify, verify. Because at the end of it, when you're done, you would like to be able to say, okay, I'm playing connect the dots, and I've done all I can do. And if you can get there and not be emotional, just learn. You can get emotional later. Find the right vehicle. Think of it that way. I'm finding the vehicle that's taken me from where I am, which where you are, to where you want to be, which you should have thought about and made as that's where I want to go. That's your next stop. Doesn't have to be the ultimate stop. It could be the next stop. And then next time you're starting where you are then, and you're going to grow again. We've both worked with several people, started with one business, one franchise, a second territory, a second business, a different type of business. They've sold their first businesses, and then they come back, and now they're growing more and more. Last evening, I was talking to a gentleman, 6 different businesses that he owns, and he's now coming back for more. And, we have the same questions. Let's start over. What do we want out of it? Why? What's your why? And understanding that, I think some of what we do there, Terry, is some of the best work we do. It's where you are, where you want to go, why? What's your why?
Why? What do you want out of it, right? What do you want to achieve? And what does fulfillment look like? When you get there, will you be fulfilled by owning that business? Hey, Ray, I just looked at the clock, and this seems to have flown by. Thank you for everyone that's been on with us. I want to give you 2 more resources. One I've mentioned before, and one is brand new. So the new resource is money, funding companies. Ray and I have 4 companies that we've worked with for well over 15 years that will help you find the right money. These are franchise funding and franchise finance organizations. So as we take you down one street to find the right franchise, they will take you down another street to find the right money. What could money look like? Could it be a vehicle leasing program? Yes. Could it be an opportunity for you to use a 401k or an IRA to self-fund your business without tax penalty and without early withdrawal? Yes, it could be. Could it be an SBA loan? Absolutely. Could it be a commercial bank loan? Yes. Could it be an unsecured program without the need for collateral? Yes. And so if you're thinking about how am I going to start my business, where am I going to get the funds, we can introduce you to multiple companies that can help answer that question. We've had those resources in our contact managers. I used to say our Rolodex. I haven't used a Rolodex in years, but those relationships go back to the days of Rolodexes. And the second resource is a question and answer call with us. So if you have questions that we didn't answer today, if you go to hireyourbestboss.com and you don't see your question there, schedule a question and answer call with us. These are not thinly veiled sales calls. We don't have anything to sell. Our service is no cost, no obligation, no catch. Well, we don't have the time today to explain that. If you jump on a Q&A call with us, we'll explain how you never send us any money. You never get an invoice. Our service is free. The currency we use is time. So if you have time that you want to trade, we have time that we want to trade. You want to wrap us up today, Ray?
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it. We'd love to have your questions. I got a couple in. I don't think we have enough time right now to do it. So please feel free, as Terry said, to get in touch with us. The resources are here for you. Become part of the Hire Your Best Boss learning community. We want you there. And we'll, maybe the next conversation is going to be something based on the question you have or something you want to learn about. So let us be your resource, and we appreciate the time you've taken.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Talk soon.